All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. Had one of my patrons this morning send me an article about what's happening with the Guess Who. Holy crap, Batman. Um, Burton Cummings, he's a little angry. I'm thinking Randy Bachman's got to be right there with him. Um, this is a pretty extreme step, what they're doing. But this article, I think, explains it pretty well. The Guess Who co founder takes extreme measure to stop what he calls fake version of the band. The battle over who owns the rights to the Guess Who's name and music has taken a sudden and extreme turn. The founding members of the band, Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman, have sued original members Jim Cale and Gary Peterson, accusing them of misleading fans into thinking the founding members are part of the current lineup that's on tour. Peterson is the only original member still touring with the group under the name The Guess Who. According to Rolling Stone, in an effort to put an end to Cale and Peterson's version of The Guess Who, Cummings, who wrote the band's classic hits like American Woman and These Eyes and owns the publishing for them, has canceled the performing rights agreements for the songs. That means no band, including the current incarnation of the Guess Who, is allowed to play those songs live. All right, so if you're going to cover the Guess Who, whether you're pretending to be the Guess Who or you're just some karaoke band, be forewarned. They mean business. Here's how it works. By canceling those agreements, concert venues can no longer host any band who are performing the songs of Burton Cummings. If they do, Cummings Publishing Company could sue them. The move has already resulted in several Guess Who concerts in Florida being canceled. But the move will likely wind up costing Cummings money too, because it will prevent him from collecting royalties when the songs or any covers of those songs are played on the radio, TV shows, and more. Now, keep in mind, though, that if the song is played on the radio and it's the original song, I don't understand why he wouldn't be able to collect on that. What he can't collect on is when someone else plays the song. So essentially, he's willing to say, you know what? I could have this money, but I want to stop what's going on out there. He says, I'm willing to do anything to stop the fake band. They're taking Bachman and my life story and pretending it's theirs. This is what Cummings told Rolling Stone. He says, yes, I'm going to lose some money, but we're going to find out what's worth what. I will not have this fake band going on any longer. He adds, I'm going to lose some money, but the name is worthless without those songs. He's got a point. I mean, who wants to see the Guess Who performing songs that no one's ever heard of? Now, of course, the band has released a couple of albums under their current lineup, and everybody was praising those albums. I thought those two albums were actually pretty good, but they did not sound like the Guess Who. They sounded more like Cheap Trick or Queen, or a mixture of some classic rock things that you've heard before. But they didn't sound like the Guess Who. And typically, I have a tolerance for stuff so long as it tries to be like the original. Well, in this case, these guys have had enough, and I understand. This is art that they created, and now everything is in the legal realm. And for a lot of people, I guess, who attend these shows, they don't really care. I mean, again, obviously, I've had the Little River Band issue here on this show where I went from one side to another, and I found out even more stuff since the last time I really talked about that. And Graham Goebel has been nice enough to come on the show a couple of times and explain what went on. And this is a similar situation. These guys let go of the name. They figured, you know what? We don't want to be in this band anymore. We don't want to tour, or a couple of the guys don't get along. And then what happens is, yeah, okay, but I'm going to keep the name. And people say, fine, keep the name. But these guys go out there and they go out like nothing ever happened. Like, yeah, we've always been the Guess Who, and this is what we sound like, and these are the guys in the band, and we're not going to acknowledge anybody from the original band, because if we point to those guys, people are going to be like, okay, that's way better than this. And again, the older guys can't do what they used to do, right? They don't sound like they used to sound. In the case of Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman, I think there's such love for that music, especially up in Canada, that if they went out as the Guess Who, people would show up in droves for that. They would. But they can't, because they don't own the name of the band, but they own all the music. So this could be something that other bands or other songwriters do to their former bands who are out there pretending to be them. And I think it's going to be very effective. Now, yes, they will lose money. I don't think they're going to lose money from radio airplay, though, because they're playing the original song and the writer gets the publishing. And in this case, it would be either Randy Bachman or Burton Cummings. Burton Cummings is a genius. He's an absolute genius. And I don't blame him at all for what he's doing, just as Graham Goebel is an absolute genius. He's like a Paul McCartney character. People don't understand how brilliant. And same thing with Cummings. They're very similar in different. One band from Australia, one band from Canada, and there's a similar thing going on. And I think at the end of this, what should happen is that these bands need to go away. I'm sorry, they need to stop. I know people want to hear the music. You're better off, just getting a cover band somewhere to play a variety of music, maybe a couple of songs by LRB, a couple of songs by the Guess Who, a couple songs by whoever, right? And just be entertained. And don't pretend you're something that you're not. I mean, even if you're pulling it off. I mean, I heard a recent performance by LRB where people who don't usually sing for the band are now singing. And they don't sound anything like the original singers in that band. And that's really a travesty, because those guys, Glenn Frey said they were the greatest harmony band in the world. And that's coming from one of the Eagles. He says this. Now, same thing with the Guess Who. Nobody else really sounded like the Guess Who. Nobody has come along to have that type of sound that they produced. And it was different. I mean, Randy Bachman, a genius. Burton Cummings, a genius. And I don't know. Don't mess with the geniuses, right? Don't mess with those guys. And I think they're doing the right thing. This is tough because I know, look, people have jobs on these road crews. I mean, the show's getting canceled in Florida. I'm sure that's going to hurt somebody's bottom line. But if you're perpetrating a fraud on the concert goers, and now you're 2 generations removed from the original band, from their heyday, people aren't going to know. Like 95% of the people aren't going to know. And the people that do know, that don't care, yeah, there's always going to be those people who say, hey, let's just go get entertained by the brand calling themselves the Guess Who tonight. And then when they listen, aren't they going to think to themselves, this doesn't sound anything, this is like karaoke, right? The singer doesn't sound like Burton Cummings. So how is that okay? I mean, it's not okay if Randy and Burton don't think it's okay. That's the bottom line. And I would say the same thing is true with LRB. If Graham and Glenn and all those guys, Beebe, all those guys say, no, this isn't cool. If they gave their blessing to it, that would be so much better. But there's a reason they're not giving their blessing, because it's not good. You're perpetrating a fraud. If you did like a 5-minute intro 10-minute intro, a segment on the original guys and how you owe everything to those guys and that we're just like a cheap imitation of those guys, maybe it would go a little ways to making everybody happy in this situation. I don't know. But see, the touring bands will make this argument. Yeah, they're going to play the songs more because we're in town. They're going to play the songs on the radio. People are going to download more of these songs. They're going to buy the albums, and that helps the original songwriters. Yeah, but it also kind of tarnishes like he said at the very end here, the name is worthless without the songs. The name, you could call yourself the Guess Who, but if you can't play the songs written by the original guy, then that name is now worthless. So this is really throwing down the gauntlet. I think this is very interesting, and something had to give here. Something, you cannot have just endless bands. Like, in other words, you just can't have this brand go on forever and not represent the original and have the guys who are still here thinking to themselves, this is horrible, and you're ruining the legacy of this band by doing what you're doing and just pretending that you're us when you're not us. So we'll see how it goes. This is pretty eloquent at the end, where Burton Cummings says, but we're going to find out what's worth what. I will not have this fake band going any longer. That's heavy duty stuff. He's willing to take a hit financially. My guess is both himself and Randy are, I would say they've got to be in a pretty good financial shape. So we'll see if their stand does what they think it could do. I think this is going to be very impactful.